Hey guys, how's everyone doing today? Good? Great. Me? Nah. So it has come to my attention recently. You remember that book that everyone was like making videos about a couple of months ago, called Kissing the Coronavirus by MJ Edwards, where this lady who's supposed to be finding a cure to the coronavirus ends up actually, banging the coronavirus instead. It turns out it has a sequel. It makes more sense for me to not make this video, but my thing is, now that I know of it, I have to read it. I know it exists. I have to read it. I can't stop myself. Like, my curiosity has gotten the better of me, and it's leading me towards a path of degeneracy. I need to read it, and I'm too scared to read it by myself, so because I don't know what's I feel like this is gonna be so much worse than the first book, and I'm terrified. So that's why here I am. I'm gonna read it, and we'll just see how that goes. I have it here downloaded. I bought the book. This time it was $1.72. I'm not even gonna read the summary for this time. This time I want to be surprised. By what? I don't know, because like, what else would it be other than like probably a continuation of whatever happened to, what was her name, Dr. Ashley Ashington Ford and Bob Gurlichand as COVID-19. Let's just get this over with as fast as possible. There we go. Okay, so Kissing the Coronavirus 2, the second wave. Can the cure be sexier than the disease? Oh, so this is gonna be about the cure? See, it's already gotten interesting. I was not expecting this. Dr. Kelly Cauldron. Oh, so it's a new doctor this time. Ooh, fun. Dr. Kelly Cauldron sniffed the hot dog into her vagina. Dr. Kelly Cauldron sniffed the hot dog into her vagina, filling herself up with the fat sausage, which she kept warm all morning in her thermos flask.
A few moments later.
Where was I? Dr. Kelly Cauldron sniffed the hot dog into her vagina, filling herself up with the fat sausage which she'd kept warm all morning in her thermos flask. She'd intended on eating the delicious meat tube for her lunch, but after a busy morning administering coronavirus vaccinations and helping to kill a disease which had taken so many lives, she had allowed the power to get the better of her. COVID. The killer that had changed the world overnight. A disease which slaughtered without mercy. It didn't care who it took, but it did prefer to take people's granddads. A serial killer, like Ted Bundy or Rose West, with an unquenchable thirst for death. Tell you what I have an unquenchable thirst for. But now, many months later, after a team of brave doctors gave their own lives developing the vaccine, it was done. The cure to the coronavirus had arrived, and Dr. Kelly was on the front line, injecting the vaccine into people's arms like she was a well-oiled cog in an even well-oiled machine. What has happened since the last book? What happened at the end of the last book? Fuck. So basically what happened, COVID-19 literally had, fucked Dr. Ashley Ashington Ford to death. She's gone. She's dead. That entire team is dead. But they have the cure. They gave up their lives to create the cure. Probably been distributed all around the world. And Kelly Cauldron, she's one of the doctors in the front line who's responsible for injecting people with the cure. As Dr. Kelly sat on the toilet, right, she was doing that. As Dr. Kelly sat on the toilet, her open flask of hot water steamed violently at her feet, and she pushed the hot dog deep inside her pussy, She bit her lip as she caught sight of the pink baton peeking out of her minge flaps, imagining it was a hot cock.
Hot dog, the problem solved. Hot diggity dog.
In and out the hot dog went, her creamy pussy juices coating the hot dog like mayonnaise. Ooh. Ugh. They keep saying hot dog, but I know they mean sausage. But because, I have embarked upon a journey into degeneracy, I imagine a hot dog, buns and mustard and all. Somehow they all know that Dr. Gertlichan has turned into the corona COVID virus, and Dr. Ashington Ford has disappeared along with him. Where did she go? Did he end up murdering her and then hid her body in some forest somewhere or some shit? He is a serial killer. That's what they do. They tend to bury bodies in forests and stuff. Either ways, we can assume Dr. Ashington Ford is dead. She, our main protagonist from the first book, has died from being fucked hard by the coronavirus. Rest in peace. They had sacrificed themselves to save the world from this horrifying disease. The cure for COVID became their lives. Dr. Kelly could relate. How? How can you relate? All you're doing is administering the vaccine to the patients. You have no idea what Dr. Ashington Ford had to go through. All the months that she had to, remain celibate and give up her sex-filled life just so she was confined into this one laboratory with Dr. Gertlichan so that she could find a cure for the coronavirus that was taking hundreds and thousands of lives all over the world. You have no idea what she sacrificed. Don't talk like you know her life. Before the vaccination had begun, she had been one of Great Britain's top orthodontists. So the setup has changed. This is no longer set in America. This is in the Queensland now. It doesn't make much of a difference, but whatever. I mean, it's not like this is COVID-19's story now. This is the story about the cure. I highly doubt that COVID-19 is gonna show up in this one. Is it gonna swim across the Atlantic? This is about the cure and Dr. Kelly Cauldron, the hot dog shoving orthodontist. Top orthodontist, fixing people's crooked teeth by day, then going out and dogging on weekends. What's dogging? Dr. Kelly loved dogging, driving to a dark, secluded spot, usually some woodland, winding down her window, then sucking on whatever cock snaked its way inside. So that's dogging. Sometimes they were small, sometimes they were big, and one time they even bent to the right, but she sucked on it anyway. So generous. Dr. Kelly Cauldron does not discriminate. She does not care about the size of your penis, the length, the girth, the color, the shape, the angle at which it bends. She will suck on every single penis that comes along her way. A true icon of equality. And now, in the midst of the biggest vaccination program in history, Dr. Kelly was perpetually horny. Now in its 4th week, the vaccination effort at the local community center was at a 24-hour operation. Unachievable targets had been set. 60 people vaccinated per hour. That was 1 per minute. She was an orthodontist, for goodness sake, not a vaccine giver. Yet when the government visited her orthodontist office and made her join the vaccination team, they told her she would go to prison if she refused. So what choice did she have? And with her unachievable targets came an unfulfilled sexual desire to have a stranger's willy in her mouth via her car window. Sometimes she wouldn't leave until the early hours of the morning, and the only men still hanging about at the popular dogging sites were old men. Their semen tasted chalky, which she didn't like. So all she had now was a lunchtime opportunity and her imagination. As she wiggled the hot dog within her passion groove, she thought back to some of her favorite encounters. MJ Edwards, why must you do this? Why does every sexual thing have to relate to food? Like, I don't understand. Like, this time you've got someone literally shoving food in her coochie, and you still have to go on and make all these like food metaphors. A second man might open the passenger door and crawl inside the car. What he did then was up to him, but she liked it when they pulled down her knickers and slid 2 fingers into her uncooked muscle. She'd forgotten what that was like. Her own just weren't the same. And slowly, neither was the hot dog. So Dr. Kelly tried what she had never tried before. She bent down and took the second hot dog from the flask. She'd hoped she might get to eat the second one as a tasty lunch, but her lust for an orgasm was far more important than her lust for food. Can't relate. Dr. Kelly hissed as she pushed the pork cylinders deep inside her. Oh yes, this was nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. It wasn't a dirty cock jabbing her in the jowls, but it would have to do. Dr. Kelly, are you in there? Coughed an angry voice. Oh, yes, said Dr. Kelly. In her shock, she accidentally pushed the second sausage so far into her vagina that it lodged against her womb. She flew out of the stall and picked up the hot dog, dropping it back into the flask with a plop. She screwed on the lid. Throw that sausage into the trash! Stood in the doorway leading back out into the community center was Dr. Bilkin Cherubs, the boss of the vaccination team. She had big tits, but not as big as Dr. Kelly's. You gotta know. Dr. Kelly has the biggest tits, okay? The biggest of them all. Torpedo tits, okay? Hentai tits, okay? She's got hentai tits. Dr. Kelly headed through the corridor, which was filled with people waiting for their vaccine. Did she walk out of the toilet with the hot dog still inside her vagina? What about the hot dog, Kelly? There must have been a dozen medical personnel in the community center working diligently, unlike you, Dr. Kelly, to cure the wretched disease known as COVID. But no matter what they did, it didn't seem to make even a dent in the waiting crowd. And people weren't happy. There was an angry woman yelling something about volcanoes. It's her story. I want to know her story. Why is she screaming about volcanoes? A sexy looking guy with sick abs and biceps as wide as an elephant's leg. It was all too much. And just to add to the stress, Dr. Kelly had a hot dog. She couldn't deny the fact that it felt nice, and because it was a little bit naughty, it would only add to the thrill. But the time for fun was over, and she had a virus to slay. Oh my god, the hot dog's still inside her vagina. Oh no. No, I swear. Oh my god, no. No. Imagine if this hot dog, this piece of sausage slides out of her vagina when she's being eaten out. Oh my god. I feel like that's gonna happen. Oh, I swear. Oh no. Dr. Kelly did a tappy tap on the keyboard of her computer and the name of her next patient popped up. She crossed the room, opened the door, called out the name, and the patient walked in. She gave them the vaccine. They shivered and they left. Easy peasy. And every time she administered a patient with the vaccine, the rush that usually accompanied her whenever she gobbled on a meaty member that slapped her across the chops somewhere in a dark lay-by. It felt good being a part of history. In the future, when people looked back at the year 2020 and all the trials and tribulations that came along with it, she hoped she might see her name written in those books. Something like, Dr. Kelly Cauldron worked 22-hour days and went without sex for 6 months to help save the world. Then when all this was over, she'd suck so many cocks through her car window, she wouldn't need to eat a proper meal for a week. I mean, I don't think that's like an equivalent substitute to, food that gives you like actual nutrition. Kind of helps you to live. But okay. She'd gotten herself all worked up. The meaty trait in her pussy hole, the sausage, combined with her mucky imagination, had made her so wet that if she got up from her seat, she'd leave a slimy trail behind her, like a slug. Disgusting. Dr. Kelly called out the name of the next patient. Her door opened and she turned. It was a man. A sexy man. Dr. Kelly gasped. It was the same sexy man from the corridor. I'm Bill Johnson, he said. So I'm guessing this is our guy, our man, who's gonna turn into the Cure once he gets injected by the Cure. Hey, hi, she said. Hello, said Bill Johnson in a voice so smooth Dr. Kelly almost slipped over. She slipped over the slug trail that she was leaving behind through her vagina, I assume. Why don't you hop up on the bed? She suggested. Yes, he said. And he hopped up on the bed. He then laid down, facing up, and Dr. Kelly couldn't help herself from gawping at his package. It was huge, like he had illegally tried to smuggle a plantain through airport customs. Really big. Dr. Kelly felt the hot dog shift inside her. Her mind wandered. But there was nothing she could do. She had a duty to the Queen. Dr. Kelly zoomed herself on her chair across the room and rested her arm gently on Bill Johnson's arm. Also, what the fuck kind of name is Bill Johnson? She wondered, with biceps that grandiose, would she even be able to give him the vaccine at all? She had to try. Get a bigger needle! How does that feel? She asked. Bill Johnson propped himself up onto his elbows, then nodded. Yeah, fine, said. Just super tired. What have you been doing to make you so tired? Well, I'm a business traveler. I travel all over the place for business. What kind of business? You wouldn't understand. Pleb. Bill Johnson sat up, but suddenly wobbled and had to stop himself from tipping off the side of the double bed. Dr. Kelly reached out her hand to catch him, accidentally touching his left pectoral muscle, like grabbing a fillet of succulent beef. Why? I feel a little off. Off how? I thought you weren't experiencing any symptoms. I'm not, I can't anyway. It's not exactly possible. It's not possible because I already took a different vaccine last week, he said, his words a little slurred. You what? Asked Dr. Kelly. Yeah, I was in NYC last week. That's what we refer to New York, where I'm from. And in order for me to travel, I had to be vaccinated. I figured I travel a lot, so signed up for the vaccine back home too. That's why I'm here. Dr. Kelly gasped. You've taken 2 doses of the vaccine? Oh no. This is COVID times COVID equals to Hulk COVID all over again. Yes, he said with a big smile, his head lolloping back and forth like one of those inflatable things you punch that doesn't ever fall over. But, she said, it was all she could say as suddenly something happened. Bill Johnson began to change. Lightning cracked. Thunder bellowed. Dr. Kelly's tits jiggled so much she had to hold on to them for her dear life. Then boom! Dr. Kelly was blown back, her tits cushioning her fall as she tumbled onto the wall and down onto the floor. Dr. Bilk and Cherubs wouldn't have survived that fall, you bitch! As the smoke that had filled the room cleared, Dr. Kelly stared at the space. Dr. Bill Johnson? Since when is he a doctor? I thought he was Bill Johnson, business traveler. Had been being the appropriate words. Because no longer was Bill Johnson lying on the double bed. No. In his place was a man almost 175% his size. His clothes had torn away and were now a pile of shredded rags on the floor. His muscles were even more muscular, bulging and rippling and massive. But that wasn't the strangest thing. Oh no, no, no. The strangest thing was he was blue. But holy shit, thought Dr. Kelly, her eyes moving down to his cock. Well, technically, it was a cock, but it looked more like a birthday party clown's balloon prior to it being turned into a balloon animal. Bill Johnson, are you okay? Asked Dr. Kelly. No, bitch. No, he said. Why not? Bill Johnson is gone. I am him now. My name is Bill Johnson. My name is Cure. Dr. Kelly's hand shot to her mouth and then slid slowly down to her big left boob. Oh, screw professionalism, thought Dr. Kelly. You screwed professionalism ages ago, child. Dr. Kelly dove at Cure's cock. It was so big, so heavy, like a long beanbag pumping with thick blood. She took it so far back into her mouth, his blue balls swung against her chin and knocked into her beautiful big titties. Cure twisted her in his grips, spinning her right round so she was upside down, her tremendous hair brushing the tiled floor. And then Cure began to feast on her vagina. Is that a hot dog? Asked Cure. Is that a hot dog? Asked Cure. Dr. Kelly wheezed. She'd forgotten all about the hot dog. I'm so sorry, she mumbled with a mouthful of cock. No, said Cure slowly. I like it. And then it was the most erotically charged moment of Dr. Kelly's life. Cure lapped the still warm hot dog right out of her vagina. The floor rumbled. A terrible, frightening rumble, like the entire world was about to split in two. The lights flickered. There were petrified screams from out in the corridor. And then a deep, guttural roar. What was that? Him, said Cure somberly. Him who? Suddenly the door burst open and a bulky, chunky, thick boy with a chiseled jaw, incredible bulges, and a dick that measured up to Cure's strode into the room. There were little spikes protruding from his body, which wiggled like trees swaying in the breeze. Dr. Kelly instantly knew. She'd heard the rumors. She'd seen the fan art. Fan art? Who? The slash fic, the memes, but until now she had no idea it was all true. Standing in the doorway, his cock inflating like he had just seen his prey, was COVID. Two giant, perfect specimens of men glared at one another. One green, one blue, one good, one evil, both incredibly sexy. She is mine, said Cure. No, said COVID. I will fuck her. You will have to go through me first, said Cure. Dr. Kelly's heart beat so rigorously against the inside of her chest it reminded her of the time she was fucked from behind by Mike McKindle. the butcher from Peanut Butter Lane. Sadly, not long after that, Mike died from COVID. They both grunted. They stamped their feet. They flexed their muscles. Then they charged. But what happened next shocked Dr. Kelly to her very core. The two men didn't start pummeling one another into oblivion. They didn't scratch or tear or punch. Instead, they kissed! Oh no! How did this turn into yaoi all of a sudden? Kyor's hand crept down COVID's rippling chest, caressing the enormous muscles until he stopped on his big fat willy. He stroked it like it was a guinea pig. What the hell is this? Demanded Dr. Kelly. Without warning, COVID turned to Dr. Kelly and in one sweeping movement, he took her in his arms and brought her up to his face, burying his face between her breasts like they were grandma's raspberry trifle. It's a good thing I ate before I started reading this. Dr. Kelly wooed. Whewed? Dr. Kelly whewed. Phew. Things are about to get a little spicy. A little bit of Dr. Kelly was tossed to the bed, her pussy gushing passion sauce as the two men turned their attention from each other to her. Kyor leapt onto the bed and plopped his cock onto her gob. I'm guessing gob means vagina. Thrusting in and out so the tip of his cock practically nuzzled against her breakfast. What? Meanwhile, COVID had sex with her in her vagina. Oh wait. Oh, the gob is the mouth. So the gob is the mouth and the vagina is the vagina. Kyor began suckling at one of COVID's protein spikes. She couldn't quite come to terms with what had just happened. Honestly, girl, neither can I. She just had the very best sex of her life, both with the vaccine and the disease. What a lucky lady. And the three of them lay there in silence, listening to the sound of each other's breathing. In, out, in, out, in. But there was no out. But from who? Dr. Kelly stood. Did it matter? She looked at the two men on the bed before her. She turned. She smiled. She felt good. A little bit about the author. I wonder how her ferrets are doing. MJ Edwards has fallen lovingly into the role of titillation expert thanks to the response given to her debut book, Kissing the Coronavirus. She now is a part-time writer and part-time keyboardist at her local church band. Due to her husband's infidelity, MJ Edwards currently finds herself single and living with her grown son, Richard, who is only partly supportive of her latest career choice. Wow. Anyways, that's the end of Kissing the Coronavirus 2, a sequel to Kissing the Coronavirus. Final thoughts. I wish I hadn't read it, but hopefully all this soju that I've been drinking for the past 1.5 hours, wow, will knock me out by the time I'm done with this video. I don't really have a lot left. I'm probably like this much, but and by the time I wake up, this will all just be a memory that I won't remember anymore. I'm disappointed because they didn't tell me what happened to MJ Edwards' ferrets. I would like to know if her 19 ferrets are safe and alive. Overall, not the best time. I think Kissing the Coronavirus should have ended with the first book, Kissing the Coronavirus. I should have guessed from the cover that it was gonna be like a 3P. Okay, it's got some reviews up on Goodreads, so people have read it. A 2.23 star rating. Kissing the Coronavirus was like fine. It was funny. Just this weird book about the coronavirus and like, you know, fucking the human embodiment of the coronavirus was just like so out of whack. Like, how do you even come up with shit like this? And just the whole thing, like the whole book, like the writing and everything on it was so ridiculous. I think that's why it got so popular all of a sudden. I don't know what else to say other than the fact that this was something. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in myself for spending money on this. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video at the expense of my sanity. Leave a like and maybe subscribe if you want. It's up to you, no pressure. Do what you want. I don't care. I can't dictate your life or your choices. I just want to say, if you watched the video, somehow came across this and sat through the whole thing, thank you so much for being here. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good time. I'll see you next time with something that hopefully is not related to kissing the coronavirus. Bye.